This is very common among women. I think that we are often taught to choose a partner who's going to create a life that we will love instead of feeling empowered to start creating a life of our own that we love. And then when we meet a partner, they're an enhancement to that life. They're not the whole kit and caboodle. To Truthatude TV. I'm Lindsey Servin, and every week I put out videos talking about confidence and all the things that affect our self-esteem as women and how to build confidence in different areas of your life. So today I want to share with you all the things that I've learned from being single on purpose for a whole year. So in 2024, I decided that I wanted to take an entire year off from dating completely. And I learned a lot along the way. And so I want to share some of the things that I've learned, some of the ways that I've grown, and some of the things that I really had to be honest with myself during that time. And being single on purpose was slightly inspired by this book, Single on Purpose by John Kim. If you haven't read it, I definitely recommend it. But it was actually something I had thought about before. And I actually did this once. I ended a really terrible relationship once, and after that I took a year off from dating. However, if I was really honest with myself, I didn't exactly take a full, complete break from dating. I was still flirting with other guys here and there. I would go on a date if somebody had asked me, and I had one or two situationships in between, so I wasn't actually completely single. So this time around, I wanted to do it differently. I wanted to be completely single, clear the roster, not even like in any kind of flirtationships. I really just wanted to take a break from dating and focus completely on me. To be honest, I was feeling a little burnt out from dating, from especially online dating. You know, I was really tired of having the same mediocre conversations over and over and over again and kind of doing this rinse and repeat of terrible dates. Now, that's not to say that I didn't go on some really great dates and I didn't meet some really great people, but I just got burnt out. And honestly, dating should be fun. And when it wasn't fun for me anymore, I took a break. I really wanted to focus on reflecting on my previous relationships, really honing in on what kind of partner I wanted, but also, more importantly, what kind of partner I wanted to be in a relationship. How did I want to show up in my future relationships, and to really clarify what dating with intention would look like for me and what my standards would be and how I would show up in the dating space moving forward. So like I mentioned, you know, when I took breaks from dating before, I had to face a truth that I had never actually been completely single. Maybe I wasn't in a relationship, but I still had a handful of guys that I was flirting with or that I would text here and there just to get my little hits of like validation and to feel wanted, honestly. I always knew that in my back pocket, there was at least one or two guys on the roster that I could text when I was lonely, or could set up a date to get a little hit of social interaction. And this time around, I really wanted to completely clean the slate. And, you know, honestly, there was a feeling of freedom in creating a space for myself to really be deliberately single. I was able to create a level of self-validation, and I don't want to demonize validation or seeking attention, because I think there's a lot on the internet that villainizes people for seeking attention or for seeking validation. And the truth is, those are very basic human needs. We all need validation. We all need attention. We all need love. And it's not terrible to want those things. However, when you are seeking attention or seeking validation only from others, that's where it can become a little tricky. You have to learn how to validate yourself and to give yourself the love and attention that you need. But I just want to be very clear that seeking attention and seeking validation are not terrible things. like the internet wants you to believe. They are very basic human needs. So when I decided to embark on this journey of being single on purpose, I knew that I really needed to put some things in place to support myself and to take good care of myself, because I knew there were going to be moments where I felt lonely and that I would be tempted to just get on the dating apps or to reach out to that old flame that I knew hadn't moved on, or to reach out to someone that I knew would give me the attention that I was seeking. So I really needed to put some things in place to support myself. Now, I might break the internet with this one, or sorry, YouTube, but one of the first things that I implemented was to make sure that I was having sex with myself every day. I hope I don't break YouTube for saying that. Let me find a different way to say that. Self-love sessions were really important to me. It was a game changer, because making sure to have self-love sessions every day or almost every single day really put me back in touch with my feminine energy and helped me reconnect with my body. I have always been pretty into that. I'm trying not to get banned on YouTube, but you know what I'm talking about. I've always been pretty good about taking care of my needs and paying attention to what my body enjoys. And this was just a way for me to take it a step further. But also I felt more empowered as far as like in the future, asking for what I wanted and being more vocal about the things that didn't feel great or that I wasn't interested in, and the things that really excited me and really were the things that kind of put me on. And also it kind of reaffirmed and made me feel empowered to know that having sex with myself is always better than having bad sex with somebody else. And if you don't take away anything from this video but that, girls, please know that when you get to know yourself intimately, it is always going to be better to take care of your own needs than to go out there and risk having bad sex with somebody who doesn't know what they're doing. And I will say that sexual empowerment is a form of self-love, and that is crucial for your self-confidence. And I know that there's a full spectrum of feelings on how women approach their own sexuality, and I respect all of those, but in the end, you should be very comfortable with your body and your sexuality and know what you're okay with and what you're not okay with, and how to communicate that with others, whatever that looks like for you. And for me, I felt a sense of empowerment getting to explore all the different things that I liked and being more comfortable communicating that with others, especially when it came to not just staying silent if there were things that I didn't like or that I wasn't interested, or if it wasn't doing it for me. So it really did empower me in that sense. Self-intimacy really does build your confidence and your ability to love yourself. And for me, it affirmed that my body and my pleasure are not dependent on somebody else. And I hope that if you go down that journey and really improve your own self-intimacy, that it empowers you to speak up during sex and not feel pressured to just stay quiet to kind of pad somebody else's ego. The second thing that I really doubled down with is something that I've been doing for a long time, but I really wanted to be more deliberate with that, and that is taking myself on solo dates. And I talk a lot about this on my channel because I do think it's really important to building a strong relationship with yourself and to building self-confidence. But for me, I started to struggle with solo dates because I recognized that I was putting a lot of pressure on myself in what the date had to be. And I was putting a lot of pressure on the date being some kind of activity or going out and doing something, or that it had to be this planned activity. And I had to recognize, like, these solo dates, the purpose of them is to spend time with me, to connect with me, to enjoy my own company, and to give myself what I'm needing in that moment. Sometimes it is a fancy dinner date where I get dolled up and go out by myself, but sometimes it's a night in with my favorite book and maybe some gummy bears. Like, sometimes it is just taking a nice hot bath and staying in, or sometimes it's going and connecting with nature. But it's not about the activity. It's about spending time with me. You know, it's not about being productive or completing a task or completing a new experience, and it's definitely not about wasting hours in front of the TV. Unless you deliberately decide like, okay, my solo date is going to be a movie night, that's different. But there were times when I didn't know what to do for my solo date, so I'd end up just like watching hours of TV, and then I didn't feel like I connected with myself. I didn't feel like I really was replenished. And so I had to find that delicate dance between being deliberate with my time but not putting pressure on it to be a specific thing. I learned how to be my own best date. And funny enough, one of the things that I learned about myself, especially with solo dates, is that when I'm in a romantic relationship, I love going out in the evening. I love getting dolled up for an elegant, beautiful dinner. But when I'm dating myself, I love going out to lunch. I love wearing a cute little summer dress, sitting on the patio, sipping my iced tea, and like having a beautiful like lunch. I just love going out in the daytime. And that was something that I learned about myself, that my romantic dates, I prefer evening. I feel like it's just like romantic. But during my solo dates, I like going out in the daytime. And that was one of the cool like discoveries that I had for myself. The other thing that I really recognized was solo dates can be simple and still meaningful. They can be picnics, or they can be, ordering Chinese and watching your favorite movie for the 500th time. Or they can just be carving some time out. They can be going to a museum or trying a new class, but they can also be simple things like just carving out some deliberate time for yourself at home. Maybe you just want to try a face mask, or you just want to repaint your nails. Like, it doesn't have to be this complicated thing. It's about spending time with yourself. So along the way, I definitely had some realizations and some revelations about my dating behaviors. And one of the things that I realized that became glaringly clear to me was a lot of the time when I was dating people, I was dating people for the life I thought they could give me, whether that was their group of friends or the activities that they enjoyed or even their family. And it took me a minute to realize that those are all things that I could create for myself. I could expand my friend group. I didn't have to wait to be in a relationship or even have somebody to go to a certain experience with. I could go try different activities on my own. I could go do fun things by myself. I could create my own chosen family. And I didn't necessarily need to sign up for the life that somebody already had to create a fulfilling life that I loved. And I recognized that it was my responsibility to build a life that I really loved, instead of trying to find a partner who had all the things that I wanted and just like insert myself into his life. And honestly, I think that this is very common among women. I think that we are often taught to choose a partner who's going to create a life that we will love, instead of feeling empowered to start creating a life of our own that we love. And then when we meet a partner, they're an enhancement to that life. They're not the whole kit and caboodle. And I think that's a healthier way to approach dating anyway. When you meet someone who has this full, amazing life that you admire, and you have this full, amazing life that you love, you guys get to collaborate and join those lives together and have an amazing experience together. Now, to be fair and to be honest, especially as I'm kind of in a rebuilding phase of my life, I'm still working on that. I'm still elevating my group of friends and being deliberate with the relationships that I give time and energy to. I'm still exploring different hobbies and things that I want to spend my time on, especially now that I'm back home in Colorado and exploring all the things that has to offer. But I have created a life that I love, and I'm very deliberate and intentional with the places that I spend my time and my energy and the people that I give that to as well. And I'm still kind of fine-tuning things, but I'm very excited about the life that I'm living and excited to meet somebody who's going to complement that. Another thing that I recognized, and honestly, I was a little ashamed to admit at first, was that I recognized that I was dating people for their potential and not necessarily who they were at that moment. So a prime example, I was dating this guy who was gonna be a doctor because I liked the idea of dating a doctor. And I know that might sound shallow and you might come for me in the comments, but whatever, it's my life and I'm just sharing it with you. I was dating him because I loved the idea of dating a doctor. He was not a doctor yet. He was a mile away from being a doctor, but honestly, a lot of the attraction that I had to him was this idealized fantasy of like, oh, I'm going to be dating a doctor. And I had to recognize that there were several instances in my dating past where I was dating somebody for their potential and not necessarily who they were in that moment. And ladies, that is not a hole that you want to fall into. You have to be present in the moment, in the relationship, and see the person for who they are at that time, not who you think they're gonna be or who you think you can turn them into. You do not want to date a project. And that was something that I had to be very honest with myself, and that was a huge revelation to me when I took time to be completely single. Now, one of the things that I mentioned earlier in the video was that I hadn't actually been completely single before, and I always had somebody kind of in the wings, even when I was taking a break from dating, and that this time I was going to completely clear the slate. And that was one of the things that I had to do. I blocked all the guys that I knew would pop up here and there with a text message. I stopped talking to my previous flirtations. I just kind of cleared the roster, so to speak, completely cold turkey. And I had been off dating apps for a while before I decided not to date because I was just so fed up with the annoying culture that's on there. But I decided, like, no, we are not going to be tempted to reach out. And so I cleared the cache. And some of the things that came up for me were my dating behaviors for the past and the present. And, you know, being single for an entire year, we're talking 365 plus days because there was a few more days, a little over a year. Clearing the cache, you know, so to speak, or cleaning the slate really allowed me to see things clearly, to see my dating patterns, to see where I was falling short as far as who I was showing up as in relationships, and to see where I had compromised my standards, or maybe I was selling myself short or not really leaning into what I wanted. You know, stepping away from the whole dating scene really helped me see patterns. Maybe where I gave too much, or I ignored red flags, or where I didn't prioritize my own needs. You know, without all the distraction of dating and being completely single, I was able to let go of some of the ideal versions of good relationships and recognize when I was seeing previous good relationships through rose-colored glasses, where I would, you know, idealize these men who were really good to me. They were amazing, and I've dated some really impressive men, but I think I overinflated their significance and kind of came up with this fantasy of like this amazing standard of a guy. And when I would date, I was always trying to recreate that version, and I was trying to recreate this ideal standard instead of really appreciating and getting to know the person that was in front of me. It was like I was chasing after this fantasy version of this guy that I had dated before instead of really appreciating who was in front of me. And on the flip side of that, looking back at my past relationships and still holding on to anger and pain and resentment and not fully letting that go. And it was time to just recognize, okay, where I was seeing things too rosy and where I was holding on to too much pain or anger. And it was time to let all of that shit go, the good and the bad. Appreciate the good that I had and how wonderful those experiences were and the good men that I've experienced, and to also let go of the baggage, the ugly side of things that, you know, where I was hurt and where I was disappointed, but let all of it go and hang on to the lessons. Hang on to the joyful memories and hang on to the lessons, but let all of those previous relationships just go in the past where they belong. A huge win for being single for this whole time was the opportunity for me to redefine and really stand by what my dating standards would be, not only for the partner that I hope to be with, but also the dating standards I hold myself to. Who do I want to be as a partner? How do I want to show up in the dating world? I always had pretty clear dating standards, but this gave me the opportunity to really refine them and to let go of the ones that were kind of superficial and let go of the ones that I felt like I had to have, and really double down on the things that were important to me according to my values. And knowing my standards and being so clear on them for my future partner as well as for myself really reinforced the notion that I can give myself so much of what I seek from others, and that empowers me to walk away from a situation that isn't fulfilling and to walk away sooner. Not to stay too long in a situation that I know isn't good for me, and to walk away quicker. And also to feel empowered knowing that if a relationship doesn't align with my values and I have to walk away, it's okay. I'm gonna be fine without it. And also knowing that I don't have to negotiate on the important things. I do not need to compromise on the standards that are my non-negotiables. On the flip side of that though, empowering myself to be vulnerable and to be open and to let people into my life and to not necessarily be so quick to cut somebody off. It's this delicate dance of being open and being vulnerable and being receptive and excited to meeting somebody new, but knowing where I stand firm in my values and feeling empowered to walk away when my values are not being aligned with the person that I'm dating. And I will say, I guess the final result of being single after an entire year and completely clearing the roster is I feel a renewed excitement for dating. After feeling burnt out and not being that excited, and feeling kind of lukewarm about the idea of meeting somebody new, I honestly can say I am super stoked. I am very excited to get out into the dating world again, to meet new people, to hear their stories, to connect with others in a meaningful way. I have met some incredible men in my life, and I know there are a million more that are out there waiting to meet me, and I'm very excited about all of that. And I am dating with intention now. I am deliberately going out there, putting myself in situations to meet incredible people, and I'm just excited to see where it leads. So before I leave you, I want to follow our tradition of giving you some journal prompts to noodle on, to kind of clarify your feelings and thoughts about dating specifically, and to decide if maybe taking a break from dating is right for you. So the first one is, when was the last time I was truly single? How did I feel during that time? What are my dating standards now, either for my current relationship or my future one? And lastly, how can I build a better relationship with myself starting today? If you're thinking about taking a break from dating, I hope this video shows you that being single is not a punishment. It is an opportunity to fall deeply in love with yourself and your life, and to create opportunities for you to truly connect with others in a meaningful way when you're ready, and that you are the love that you've been waiting for. If you liked this video, if you felt that it was helpful in any kind of way, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're not already a part of this community. You know how YouTube works. Thank you so much for watching, and until the next one, stay true to the Truthatude. Ciao!